Policy Chairs, Betty Flayton, Darcy Judy, Ana Lopez, Sandra Munger, and Barbara O'Connor. And of course, we especially want to thank our terrific tech team, Kathy Hall and Carolyn Cooley, who have made this Zoom meeting possible. So we're also honored today to have a number of elected officials in our audience, including State Senator Brittany Pedersen, my own state representative, Mike Weissman, along with state reps Daphna Michelson-Janae, Susan Lontine, Terry Carver, Iman Judah, Jennifer Bacon, Nikita Ricks, Janet Rich, and Stephen Woodrow. Also, Arapahoe County Commissioner Carrie Warren Gully and former State Senator Nancy Todd. Welcome, and thank you for taking time to be with us today. If I missed anyone, please let us know in the chat. So we have an exciting agenda today. First, we'll bring you the latest legislative update, and then we'll welcome Senator Faith Winter as our keynote speaker. And then Denise, let us know about the rest of the program.
Yes, thank you so much, Sue. After Faith's keynote, then we have a panel, 3 distinguished individuals that'll be moderated, talking about women in the workplace. We really encourage you to use the Q&A function during that segment. And then we'll close the program with our president again, providing national updates and things to come within AAUW. So we're really excited to kick off today. And I think we're going to start, Sue, with the legislative update.
You are so right, Denise. And I think we have some slides ready to go. Today, we are going to review the 2021 redistricting process and recap the 2021 session in the legislature. Then we'll have an update on our 2022 priorities and the current session. We'll also share some helpful hints about using the legislature's website and developing relationships with your legislators. So please use the Q&A for questions, and we'll address them at the end of the presentation. The slides are on the AAUW Colorado website for your reference after this meeting. So let's turn to the 2021 redistricting process. Next slide, please. As you probably know, redistricting of both the congressional and state districts takes place every 10 years in conjunction with the census. And in Colorado, we passed 2 new laws that set up independent redistricting commissions for federal and state redistricting. They did their work, not without some controversy. And here is the new congressional map. If we could go to the next slide. So the big changes here are that because thanks to our growth, Colorado earned another congressional district, CD8. It includes Greeley on the north and the northern metro suburbs on the south. So we now have 8 congressional districts. In making the maps, El Paso County got its own CD, and the 7th CD moved further south of its original configuration. At the state level, let's go to the new House district map. And of course, you can't see a lot of detail here. And let's go to the new Senate district map. And so why we are showing you these maps, it's not so that you can see where your district is, it's to show you that we have the maps. They are very available on the Redistricting Commission website, and they're interactive. So you can actually zoom clear into your own house if you want to. And the important takeaway here is that the most congressional and state boundaries changed, including yours. So you'll be voting in these new districts this year. They will also be in effect if you're planning to go to your party caucus in March. So please do go to the Redistricting Commission's website and check out your own districts so you're prepared to vote. And now it's time to review the 2021 legislative session and update you on the 2022 session. Our intrepid coalition representative and former lobby director, the Honorable Betty Boyd, is going to present our legislative update today. Betty served 6 years in the State House before filling a vacancy in the State Senate. She served the full 8 years there, ending as Senate President pro tem. Her passion has long been health and human services, and she was responsible for passing numerous bills that have helped make Colorado a healthier place to live, especially for women. Betty was our lobby director for a number of years, guiding our members in advocating for AAUW priorities in the Colorado General Assembly. And now she represents us with various women's groups. So take it away, Betty.
Thank you, Sue. I think I am turned on. I would like to start with our AAUW National Public Policy priorities. All of these priorities are based in our mission statement of AAUW. So that is a reminder that I give all the time, and I also remind legislators when I contact them. Our mission is to advance gender equity among women and girls, for women and girls, through research, education, and advocacy. And these priorities are the 3 priorities of this biennium: to support a strong system of public education that promotes gender fairness, equity, diversity, and inclusivity, and to address the barriers and implicit biases that hinder the advancement of women and girls. Secondly, to achieve economic security for all women, which is what we are talking about today, and also to guarantee equality, individual rights, and social justice for a diverse and inclusive society. Next slide, please. You'll notice that our state AAUW priorities from 2021 reflect much of what you saw in the last slide. Our 4 priorities were women's reproductive health and justice, behavioral health issues, women's economic and workplace issues, and equity in technology and education. Next slide, please. We were quite successful in 2021 in that we actively supported 18 bills, and all but 2 were passed and signed by the governor. And we also supported 31 other bills across our legislative spectrum. And again, all were passed and signed by the governor. Our opposition must have been really successful, because the 3 active bills that we actively opposed failed, as did the 3 bills that we had also opposed. I think as we look forward to 2021, we might see some of those bills, those 2 bills that did not pass, return in perhaps a different form. Examples of those bills that we supported were bills on reproductive health care for immigrant women, which I believe we will see a related bill this year, to codify reproductive health benefits from the Affordable Care Act and family planning into Colorado state statute. We also supported establishing a behavioral health administration, annual mental health exams, and coverage for one of those exams for all people who are covered by health insurance. We supported suspending statewide assessments for certain grades as a result of the COVID pandemic. Free menstrual products in schools were an issue that is really important to women and girls, particularly the girls in public schools who may not have access, or for whom it may be a burden. Child tax credit, tax reform, also a $2 million diaper fund, which was set up to assist parents who are not able to afford the very expensive diapers for their babies. Also, money was set aside in the budget for training unemployed and underemployed people, as well as $3 million for SNAP recipients training. SNAP is what most of us know as food stamps. Next, please. We also opposed the three statewide ballot issues, and all three of them failed. The first was would have required legislative authority to spend state money. With that authority would take away some of the possibility for spending grant money that would come in that was already designated. The LEAP program, Learning Enrichment and Academic Progress Program, which used public money to, with the possibility of supporting private groups providing those programs. And lastly, the property tax assessment rate reduction did not pass. We will be seeing it again in the legislature this year since it didn't pass the voters. The proponents will be trying again. Next slide, please. For 2022, our priorities look very similar to our 2021 priorities, which means there's still plenty of work to do. First of all, economic empowerment, again, which is much the subject of today's Public Policy Day and the focus of our efforts today. Also, reproductive health and justice, behavioral health, and again, equity in education and technology. We're persistent. Some of the priority bills that we have seen and already are actively supporting include the fifth year of high school concurrent enrollment for some students in college so that they get dual credit for their work. House Bill 1008 is a new bill this year that implements coverage for fertility services for people who already have health insurance. House Bill 1010, the income tax credit for early childhood educators, has already passed its first committee. House Bill 1055 is another bill dealing with feminine hygiene products and diapers, and this would eliminate the state sales tax on those products. Next slide, please. House Bill 1133 deals with what we're talking about today, at least a lot of what we're talking about, the Family and Medical Leave Insurance Fund. This bill funds, provides seed funding for the state as we continue to implement the Family and Medical Leave program that the voters overwhelmingly passed. This bill did pass the first committee in the House and is on its way to the Appropriations Committee. And I expect it may not sit in Appropriations Committee too long because we want to get moving on the funding and the implementation so that there will be available funds to do this, to deal with the will of the voters. House Bill 1057 is a temporary waiver to allow retired teachers to work in any district without losing their para benefits. And House Bill 1101 is a permanent waiver on hours worked for retired teachers in rural schools. Next slide, please. Also supporting suspending or restoring a suspended $225 million payment to para, plus 78.57 million in lost interest. This is a loan that that the state took from para a couple of years ago, and it's important that it be restored to para so that the fund can continue to be successful and robust. 1035 is a modernization of the older Coloradans Act. And in the Senate, we are supporting Senate Bill 44, which limits the use of student academic growth in educator evaluations. Currently, student growth is to make up 50% of educator evaluations, and we believe that's inappropriate. That it might be something to consider, but it's not appropriate to be half of the consideration when we're evaluating teachers and principals. Senate Bill 47, which we were supporting, that automatically updated your address information in your voter registration when the driver's license is updated, was killed the other day. So that is no longer with us. Next slide, please. Senate Bill 52 aligns Medicaid and CHIP income eligibility requirements for pregnant women and children with the requirements in the federal law, which makes a lot of sense. Senate Bill 54 adds a community school option for turnaround plans when school districts are trying to turn around their lack of progress, or when they are in need of help to improve the quality of their education. And Senate Bill 57 is support for a bill that considers brain injury for victims of violence, with the possibility of providing more help for those victims. Next, for active opposition, a lot of these bills we've seen before. House Bill 1021 is the bill I referred to that would reduce the state income tax rate. We are seeing it back in the form of a bill instead of a constitutional amendment. House Bill 1033 and 1047 and 1075 are all bills that we have seen before and we have opposed before. The protecting human life at conception is a concept that returns often, virtually every year in the legislature, and also has appeared on the ballot. So we continue to be actively opposed to those bills. Next slide, please. Again, some of these we've seen before. House Bill 1079 is a new take this year. It's a bill that would outright abolish abortion in Colorado, to which we're opposed. Concealed handguns on school grounds we have seen before and have opposed before. A bill for the income tax rate reduction. We are in opposition to so many of these bills that reduce income to the state to do the kinds of programs that we expect the state to provide, the programs and services. And at the same time, if we're going to provide those services, we need to have appropriate funding to do so. So we are opposing that bill. And Senate Bill 39, funding for educational opportunities, is another potential backdoor voucher program. So next slide, please. And there are some bills that we are expecting to be introduced, which we have discussed. The Reproductive Health Equity Act, RHEA, is a bill that will do three things. It will state that women have the right to choose to be pregnant or not be pregnant. Also, it straight out prohibits or makes legal abortion in the state of Colorado. And thirdly, it indicates that a fetus or an ovum or a fertilized egg in any that neither of those are human. So that that really would eliminate all of the discussions about life at conception. It's a truly important bill for women, given the fact that the Supreme Court is poised to potentially get rid of Roe v. Wade as the law of the land. So this would guarantee abortion rights in the state of Colorado. I thought that would be introduced, but it hasn't been yet. We are looking for another bill that we have not seen yet, but we know is coming on human trafficking. And we have been involved in supporting human trafficking legislation in the past. The Power Bill, dealing with sexual assault, particularly in the workplace, is coming again. It was introduced last year. And also, we know there's a bill coming on workplace age discrimination. So we really have a full plate here. And particularly when these bills get introduced, because we will be particularly actively supporting the Reproductive Health Equity Act when it's introduced. So I was on the web. Let's see. Are there any more slides here dealing with no? Just one more comment that I had before I turn it back to Sue. I was on the General Assembly website this morning, and as of yesterday, there were a large number of House bills introduced, and the day before, a large number of new Senate bills. So the committee will be meeting soon to look at those new bills to see what we might want to work on in addition to our current agenda. So thank you so much for letting me share this information with you. And we certainly hope that as we improve our ability to communicate with you, that you will communicate with your members of the General Assembly. And I will turn it over to Sue now, who will tell you how you can do that.
Thank you, Betty. So let's take a look at the legislature's website, ledge.colorado.gov. You can find it either by putting in that name, or you can just Google Colorado Legislature and you can find it. So on the homepage, you'll see a number of icons that you can click on. So you can find your legislator simply by putting in your address. In fact, your legislators, because you have a senator and a representative at the legislature. You can find a bill by number or title. If you want to, Denise, if you want to show the slides for that. So there, see, circled is the find your legislator, and then next, and that shows you how you just fill in your address and it goes right to your districts and your legislators. And then you can find a bill by number, title, sponsor, keyword. It's pretty easy to do. And then there, you can also listen or watch. You can watch the floor proceedings and you can listen to committee hearings. So it's pretty easy to navigate around this website. And then there's these other helpful tools that you should get familiar with. The daily calendar tells you what's going to happen that day and a few days into the future. The daily journal tells you what happened yesterday and all the days before to the beginning of the session. And then the status sheet lists all the introduced bills and resolutions and shows the current status of each one. And there are also other ways of finding lists as you get familiar with the website, and you can pull those down and bookmark those and check on those as time goes on. The website also has a wealth of resources, including budgets. And next slide on that, we have that listed. We have the budgets, we have the committees, we have links to the Colorado revised statutes, the state agencies, all the state audits that have been done, and the publications that the state produces. So there's a lot of information there. It's somewhat fairly intuitive once you find your way around, and you can bookmark the places that you want to go back to. And it's a lot of information. So we've given you a lot of information today about what's going on in the legislature and some tools to work with. And now it's time to take action. So Betty, join me for letting us show folks how easy it is to get to know your legislators. You can call, you can email, you can visit their office at the Capitol. Remember, and I know we have quite a few with us today, that they are interested in hearing your story. They're your neighbors. They're probably your friends. And really don't hesitate to try to get involved. Let them know you're an AAUW member and the kinds of issues that you're following. And if you have expert experience in teaching, for example, in nursing, in the professions, in business, offer to help with testimony on bills that they're sponsoring that AAUW supports. And so this session, we ask you to look through the list of bills on our AAUW legislative update on the website. We update that pretty much weekly. And choose 2 or 3 that you would like to advocate on, and then let us know and we'll help you make that happen. Whether it's writing a letter, making phone calls, or even doing in-person or remote testimony. I did remote testimony the other day on Representative Weissman's bill that passed the Education Committee. And wow, it is so much easier than driving to the Capitol and trying to find parking and waiting around. And so I really encourage you to try to do some remote testimony. It really, it's really easy. And at the very least, we want you to respond to the AAUW federal and state action alerts. Betty, chime in.
Yes, I want to go back to the very beginning, Sue, what your comments about getting to know your legislator. It is so important that you contact them, particularly when they're not in session. It's the best time to get a significant amount of time with your legislator. Call and ask them if you can set up coffee with them so that you can chat one-on-one. During that off time is when the legislators have the most time available to meet with you. And very important that you attend town halls. My legislators in Lakewood have a monthly town hall on a Saturday morning, and it's always very informative. It consists of all of the representatives and the senators who represent Lakewood, and they cooperate and have right now it is all one party. But when I first started doing that, it was bipartisan, since we had bipartisan representation across the city. And those town halls can be really informative and give you an opportunity, particularly if you can attend in person.